Okay, it's the 2nd of the 1st, 2020. Okay, the ball joint hasn't come yet, but I'm just spending a bit of time working out how I'm going to do this. That top ball joint is new, and the bottom ball joint is disconnected, but it's held on by the nut at the top there. I think that's the control arm. So the control arm's disconnected, and how I got it was I knocked on the bottom of the ball joint there, and then it released. Then, okay, with the control arm disconnected, we can see that it's turnable. Yeah, so the work I've done so far is to remove the top bolt out of this bracket here. That bracket there. Try and focus that. So I slid that bracket forward, and then I was able to get to the bolt down there for the lower ball joint. After that, I undid the castle nut and belted on the top there and on the side here, and it released. I then pushed that around. I belted here. Just give you a shot of that. So I belted here beside the ball joint on top, but I didn't have any success until I hit here on the lower part of the ball joint. My backup safety is the threaded jack there, and also the tyre is under the front. Okay, and that's packed out underneath the front frame. So the caliper is loose, and I'm thinking if I do remove the caliper, this will turn right around, and I should be able to remove and install a new lower ball joint. Okay, that's a preliminary or a before look at the work. So now I'll wait for the lower ball joint to arrive, and then I'll start with the work. Or yeah, restart the work, I mean. But for now I have to put this all back together because I'm going to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, and I've got the weekend. Okay, so to put it back together, the way I did that was to put the bottom ball joint castle nut back on, tighten it up, just focus that, and then put the steering ball joint on, and then I'll put on the caliper and the bracket there. I know it's very hard to see behind there, but that's the bracket there. I had to move it forward to be able to get to the bottom ball joint nut. I did have a bit of trouble getting this on. It went straight into place, but it's a ball joint, and it was spinning around. So the ball joint was spinning, so the thread was also spinning, you see. So I had to get all the grease off, and that provided a bit of a key. It stopped the thread from spinning, and I was able to do it up, and she's sweet. Okay, I'll lock the steering. Okay, it doesn't have a steering lock. Okay. Okay, it's 44 degrees Celsius. That's 44 degrees, so it's pretty hot today. these wheel nuts after sitting in the sun. I don't think I could hold them without gloves on. Okay, it's just too hot to work. What I'll do is I'll have a couple of hours or 3 hours rest and start this later on. Let's make a start. It's around about 4 o'clock and it's now 42 degrees. At the moment, a couple of days ago, I did do some investigative work. I released the tie rod, the bottom ball joint, and I was able to turn this. I'm going to see if I can just turn this and get the lower ball joint out. Okay, now I'll undo these two bolts down there behind the caliper. At this point I can move the caliper, but I can't move the wheel. So what I'll do is I'll undo the bolt for the lower ball joint there and just try and release that. Range. A couple of days ago at this point when this was out, this I could move. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, at this point, the wheel stops there. I'm just going to jack it up a bit. Now bear in mind that this has been released, this ball joint's been out a couple of days ago, but I was pounding on with this. You can get that at say Super Cheap Auto. You can get something like that at a garden parts store. But last time I got this out, I pounded on the ball joint itself. This type of work is quite graphic and it's not very pretty at all. Sometimes it actually gets pretty ugly. I highly recommend taking your car to a mechanic to have this done. I'm just a bit of a stubborn old pig. Okay, you'll need hearing and eye protection for this. If you are going to hit on top of the ball joint thread, protect the thread by putting on the nut. I'll put it upside down. Okay, well that's out of there. I just got the big mallet and I smashed on the bottom of it, just down the bottom end of it after smashing from the top. At this point, the disclaimer: I'm not a mechanic or an auto electrician. I haven't got my manual yet, although it's on the way. I'm doing this as I think it could possibly be done. Okay, I'll let the jack down. Now I'm going to create a situation where the weight is off this this top nut. Okay. Now what I'm going to try and do is take this assembly off the ball joint. Okay, so it had me puzzled there for a little bit of time. Just focus that. It wouldn't move, but when I gave it a good shove and it came right up and out of the lower bottom ball joint. So that's out of the way. The top arm moves. Okay, so let's see now. There it is. We've got two bolts on top and under. So that must be stabilizer bars. So they shouldn't be too much of a problem. But anyway, that's underneath. And that's on top. So this could be a fairly quick and easy job. I believe that's the torsion bar, and that can be adjusted down the back there. So that's your torsion bar, and that's instead of springs or coil springs. Okay. Okay, this is all 14mm bolts here. Okay, I've tied back the assembly to the rear view mirror, so that won't get bumped. Okay, so that's where we're at. Just taking the bolts out now, and the good news is there's no pressure on this bolt, so that's hard up against the bottom arm there. So this should be a good easy job. So this bar here is supporting this. It's just a matter of taking this out, putting the new one in and putting it together. The thing that concerns me is there's a lot of thread lock on this. The threads don't turn very easily. These won't come out, they won't release, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Okay, that long bolt that came from this side, and the short one came from the underside here, just there. So that's the rear. Now it looks like the long bolt is on the right and the shorter bolt is on the left, and they've got nuts that connect underneath. So that is those two there. And this one's got a washer, and that is the furthest one out, so that's that one there underneath the bar. Okay, so at the moment I'm thinking that the right and left sides are exactly the same. I'll just focus that. I'll put the grease nipple in, so I'd say that you can safely say right or left, doesn't matter. I think the four-wheel drives are the ones with the little bits coming on the side here with the round thing on the end, here and here, and I think that the bottom holes are wider and you don't have this this build-up of metal here. Bit concerning with the bolts though, because these are long and that's okay, but there's two short ones and one of them is longer, so could be a problem. So either I've ordered the wrong part, and I don't think I have, or somebody hasn't done their homework properly. Anyway, let's see if we can get this out. I'll tell you a funny story. I picked up the suntan lotion and sprayed myself with suntan lotion instead of insect spray. Yep, there we go. There she is. I don't recommend you do that. I just made a tiny little hole just in case there's too much grease there, and also the boot can breathe. If it wrecks the ball joint, well, you know, I'll have to bear that weight, but I can't recommend you do that because I don't know if it works or not. I'm just thinking about the, maybe I've packed too much grease in there, but anyway, I'll clean inside here now. Okay, unfortunately, as we can see, the nuts they've supplied they're not the right size. So, I mean, why give your money to somebody that couldn't be bothered finding out what size nuts to give you? Okay, well, luckily for me, the nuts are the right size, and I've rounded this one off a bit, so at least we get some benefit. Okay, I was having trouble getting all of these bolts through, and what I ended up doing was I got these good pliers here. I just squeezed these two rods together, so just squeeze that together, and I was able to move this rod here going along underneath and get all the bolts in. Okay, just one other thing, with the top ball joint, you could actually split the boot if it's an old boot, if it's an old ball joint, because I'm just realising how long this video is going to be for the 2020 registration. So what I'm going to do is just tighten these bolts up. Okay, I'll tighten that up. Okay, I'm going to jack the bottom member up. Okay, that just fell through and must get jammed up on the thread. I just wiggled it around and it fell right through. Okay, the car did shift a little bit then. It's probably because it's up on one side. I do have a safety jack there. The original jack is there, and the front is supported by the tyre and wood. So just bear that in mind. That's actually the first time a car has shifted on me, so I was just sort of, see that? So just take care. Okay, to do this up, this does have to be in place. Otherwise, as you tighten it up, this will move. Try and get that positioned so I can tighten that nut up. Yeah, but definitely don't put any grease on the shaft or the thread, because if this spins around, the ball joint spins around, you won't be able to do up the nut. Okay, I've just got to tap that around a bit to line up the holes for the cotter pin. Okay, let's tighten up this one. Now we have to check that we've got a hole somewhere for the cotter pin. Okay, I think I see it. My 53-year-old eyes. Yep, there it is. She's sweet. So I've just got my bolt again, got the bracket there, and okay, take two. There it is. Okay, I'll just try and show. So, take this tape off. I thought it might turn, but it didn't. I did spray it with paint in case it did turn. I'd know where to reposition it. I try to keep the wheel off the threads if I can. It's easier said than done. Yeah, it's funny, I had this jack stand under the car, and when I went to get it out from underneath the car, it was down like that, sitting on the ground like that. I don't know. I could have kicked this up at some stage. I use those pieces of wood there to support the front of the ute. Okay. This is the rear wheel. Okay, let's take her out on a test drive. I'll have to get these tools out of the way, and I think the work will be okay. Okay, the brake pedal was a little bit spongy because I removed the caliper, so whenever you do any of this type of work, just take it slowly and just check the brake works and everything's good. Always check underneath the car, or the truck, or the ute, whatever you're driving, before you drive away. And now we'll just go for a nice quiet test drive. Just check the stance that it's level. Check and recheck. That's what I do. Just check until the cows come home, and just be careful. Okay, she seems to go very well, very happy. Just one last thing. Just a check to make sure that the wheel's secure. There's no movement in the steering. Okay, I'd like to wrap up this video now. At this point, I'll just say don't forget to wipe down the rotor.